The throne room of the Valran Empire stretched high above Queen Hana's head, its crystal walls catching the light of 3 suns. She sat perfectly still on her throne, her silver skin gleaming under the soft glow. Around her, the High Council whispered among themselves. They spoke of war, of threats from neighboring territories, and of the Empire's weakening position among the stars. Hana listened to every word. She was young for a queen, barely into her 3rd decade, but she understood politics better than most of her advisors. The Valran people were brilliant. Their technology surpassed most species in the galaxy. Their ships could jump between stars in moments. Their medical knowledge could cure diseases that plagued other worlds. But they had one terrible weakness. They were fragile. A fall that would bruise another species could shatter Valran bones. A fever that others would sleep off could kill them in days. Even their strongest warriors could barely lift what other species considered light cargo. This weakness made them targets. Pirates raided their trading vessels. Aggressive empires eyed their territories. The Valran survived through intelligence and technology alone. But lately, that had not been enough. High Chancellor Boyoung stepped forward, his robes dragged across the polished floor. Your Majesty, the human delegation has arrived. They wait in the receiving hall. Hana straightened in her seat. The humans. Tell me again why we should trust them. Boyoung's expression showed doubt. They are newcomers to our region of space. They claim to want peaceful relations. Their technology is adequate, not as advanced as ours, but functional. They have offered an alliance. And what do they want in return? Hana asked. Trade agreements, access to our scientific databases, and... Boyoung paused. They have suggested a marriage, to bind our peoples together. The council erupted in whispers. Hana raised one delicate hand, and silence fell. A marriage? To whom? To their diplomatic representative. A man named Doyun. He is an engineer and negotiator. Hana considered this. Marriage for political alliance was not unusual among the stars. Many empires had cemented peace through such unions. What do we know about humans? And what is know that ending senses? An advisor spoke up. They are bipedal, like us. They breathe oxygen. They come from a planet called Earth, located in a distant spiral arm. Their species is relatively new to space travel, only a few centuries. Are they trustworthy? The advisor hesitated. They seem honest in their dealings. Perhaps too honest. They lack the cunning we see in other species. They appear simple, straightforward. Boyoung added. Our intelligence suggests they are not physically impressive. Average strength. Average speed. They seem unremarkable in every way. Except their persistence. They do not give up easily once they commit to something. Hana thought about her empire's position. They needed allies. Strong allies who could defend them if war came. But the humans did not sound strong. They sounded ordinary. Still, an alliance was an alliance. Bring them in. Let me meet this Doyun. The great doors opened. A small group entered the throne room. Leading them was a woman with dark hair pulled back in a simple style. She wore a neat uniform in blue and white. Behind her walked a man. Doyun was not what Hana expected. He stood taller than the Valran, but not remarkably so. His build seemed average by human standards, from what little she knew. He had dark eyes and black hair, and he moved with a quiet grace. His expression was calm, pleasant even. He looked around the throne room with interest, but not intimidation. The woman bowed. Your Majesty, I am Ambassador Minji. This is my brother, Doyun. We bring greetings from Earth and the unified colonies of humanity. Hana nodded. You are welcome in our empire, Ambassador. I understand you. Come with a proposal. Minji smiled. We do. Humanity seeks friends among the stars, not subjects or enemies. Your people's achievements in science and medicine are legendary. We would learn from you. And perhaps we have things to teach as well. To show our commitment, we propose a union between our peoples. Doyun stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice was gentle. Your Majesty, I know this seems sudden, but my people believe that bonds between individuals can create bonds between civilizations. If you would accept, I would be honored to join your house. Hana studied him carefully. He did not seem like much. Certainly not like a warrior or a champion. But there was something in his eyes. Intelligence, kindness, and something else she could not quite identify. You would leave your world? Your people? I would not leave them, Doyun replied. I would bridge two worlds. My sister would remain as ambassador. I would remain as whatever you would have me be. Doyun, Boyoung leaned close to Hana. Your Majesty, perhaps we should discuss this privately. But Hana had already made her decision. Her empire needed allies. These humans seemed genuine. And if the marriage did not work, it was still just one life bound to another. She had sacrificed more for her people before. I accept your proposal. Doyun of Earth, I will take you as my consort. The council gasped. Minji beamed. Doyun bowed deeply. You honor me, Your Majesty. The wedding was arranged for the following week. The Valran prepared with their usual efficiency. They draped the capital city in banners. They composed songs about the union of stars. They crafted a crown for Doyun. Delicate and beautiful like all Valran art. Hana spent little time with Doyun before the ceremony. They had brief meetings where he asked about Valran customs and she asked about human traditions. He was always polite, always interested. He never demanded anything. He never seemed bothered by the strange situation. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather. Thousands gathered in the Grand Plaza. Hana wore robes of silver and blue that flowed like water. Doyun wore formal earth attire, black and simple, with small touches of Valran design added by the palace tailors. They stood together before the high priest, who recited the ancient words of binding. Hana spoke her vows in the traditional way. Doyun spoke his in both human language and carefully practiced Valran. His accent was rough, but the crowd appreciated the effort. When the ceremony ended, they were wed. The crowd cheered. Hana looked at her new husband and wondered what she had really agreed to. That evening, servants brought Doyun's belongings to the royal quarters. Hana watched as they struggled with a large trunk. 3 servants pulled and pushed, grunting with effort. The trunk must have been extremely heavy. Doyun noticed their struggle. Oh, let me help. He walked over and lifted one end of the trunk with one hand. The servants stumbled backward in surprise. Doyun did not seem to notice their shock. He carried the trunk to the corner and set it down gently. There. Thank you for your help. The servants bowed quickly and fled. Hana stared at the trunk, then at Doyun. He smiled at her. That same gentle smile. Sorry, I probably should have packed lighter. I brought too many books. Hana said nothing. She was already beginning to wonder what else she did not know about humans. The first month of marriage brought many surprises. Hana watched her new husband with growing curiosity. Doyun was kind and respectful, always asking permission before entering rooms, always interested in learning Valran customs. But he was also strange in ways she had not expected. Every morning, Doyun woke before dawn. Hana would find him in the palace courtyard, moving through exercises that made no sense to her. He would run in circles for what seemed like hours. Then he would drop to the ground and push himself up and down repeatedly. Sometimes, he would hang from tree branches and pull himself up until his chin touched the wood. One morning, she asked him about it. What are you doing? Doyun, barely breathing hard despite the exertion, smiled. Exercise. Staying in shape. It is a human habit. But why? You are not preparing for battle. No, but humans need to move. Our bodies work best when we use them regularly. He did not mention that he was actually holding back significantly. The Valran gravity was much lighter than Earth's. Moving here felt effortless to him. The kitchen staff also found Doyun confusing. He ate more than 3 Valran combined. The head cook complained to Hana in private. "Your Majesty, the human consort is eating our supplies. Yesterday, he consumed an entire roasted Vask beast. That was meant to feed the household guard for 2 days. Hana frowned. Is he ill? He seems perfectly healthy. He just eats constantly. When Hana mentioned this to Doyun, he looked embarrassed. I am sorry. I am trying to eat less. Human metabolism is fast. We need more fuel than some species. I will be more careful. But it was not just eating and exercise. Doyun's reflexes were unnaturally quick. During a formal dinner with visiting dignitaries, a servant accidentally knocked over a crystal vase. It fell from a high shelf, directly toward the head of an elderly council member. Before anyone could react, Doyun's hand shot out. He caught the vase in midair, without looking. The movement was so fast that several guests gasped. Doyun gently set the vase back on the shelf. Careful, he said pleasantly to the servant, who stood frozen in shock. High Chancellor Boyang began watching Doyun more carefully after that. He noticed other things. The human never seemed tired. He never got sick despite being exposed to Valran bacteria that should have been foreign to his system. Once, Boyang saw Doyun pick up a decorative statue to examine it. The statue was solid stone, weighing at least 200 pounds. Doyun held it with one hand, like it was made of paper. Boyang went to the palace archives and researched everything available about humans. What he found disturbed him. Earth was classified as a high-gravity world in the database. Its gravity was nearly 3 times that of the Valran homeworld. The planet's surface was covered in dangerous weather patterns. Its native wildlife included creatures that could tear through metal. Earth's oceans contained animals large enough to swallow ships. Humans had evolved to survive on a death world. He brought this information to Hana in private. Your Majesty, I believe we have made a significant error in judgment. Hana set down the report she was reading. Explain. The humans. They are not weak, as we assumed. Their planet is a nightmare, by our standards. Nothing on the Valran homeworld compares. Their bodies are built to withstand conditions that would kill us instantly. Doyun has been nothing but gentle, Hana said. Yes, because he is holding back. I believe the humans deliberately hid their true capabilities during negotiations. Hana thought about this. She remembered Doyun lifting the trunk, catching the vase, the exercises that would exhaust a Valran in minutes. Why would they hide their strength? Perhaps to avoid frightening potential allies. Or perhaps for some other strategic reason. Boyang looked worried. Your Majesty, this human lives in your private quarters. He could be a threat. He is my husband, Hana said firmly. And he has given me no reason to fear him. But that night, she paid closer attention. They sat together in the garden, a place Hana loved for its beauty and peace. Doyun was reading a datapad, occasionally smiling at something on the screen. What are you reading? She asked. Messages from home. My sister sent pictures of Earth. Would you like to see? He handed her the pad. The images showed a blue and green world, beautiful from space. Then closer images of massive mountains, vast oceans, dense forests. There were pictures of animals too, creatures with fangs and claws. Massive beasts that dwelled in water. This is your homeworld? Yes. It is dangerous in places, but also beautiful. Humans learned to adapt. The animals, they look fierce. Doyun glanced at the image she indicated. It showed a large predator with stripes and enormous teeth. A tiger. Yes, they are dangerous. But humans learned to coexist with them. Mostly. Could a tiger harm a human? Certainly. Tigers are powerful hunters. But humans are smart. We learn to avoid them, or defend ourselves when necessary. Hana tried to imagine living on a world where such creatures roamed freely. The thought made her nervous. The most dangerous animal on the Valran homeworld was roughly equivalent to Earth's rabbit. Over the following weeks, Hana found herself drawn to Do-yun despite her growing awareness of his hidden strength. He was intelligent and kind. He listened when she spoke about the pressures of ruling. He offered perspectives she had never considered. He made her laugh with stories of human culture and Earth's strange customs. One evening, they hosted a state dinner for diplomats from 3 neighboring systems. Wine flowed freely. Valran wine was carefully formulated to be mild, providing only slight euphoria without significant impairment. Do-yun tried the wine and made a face. "It is sweet. You do not like it?" Hana asked. "It is fine. Just different from what I am used to." He did not mention that the alcohol content was so low it would have no effect on him whatsoever. Human tolerance for toxins was much higher than most species realized. A Valran noble, already slightly affected by the wine, laughed. "The human finds our wine too weak. Perhaps he needs something stronger." "Oh, I brought some earth beverage," Minji said from across the table. "I thought you might want a taste of home, brother." She produced a small bottle filled with amber liquid. Do-yun's eyes lit up. "Is that whiskey?" "From the Highland distilleries. Aged 20 years. She poured him a glass. The smell alone made several Valran guests wrinkle their noses. Do-yun sipped it and sighed happily. "Perfect." 5. Bo-young leaned toward a scientist sitting nearby. "Analyze that beverage quietly." The scientist used a small scanner. His face went pale. "Chancellor, that liquid is poison. The alcohol content alone would kill a Valran in minutes. There are dozens of compounds that our bodies cannot process. The human is drinking it. I know." The scientist watched Do-yun take another sip, completely unaffected. Later that night, after the guests had left, Hana found Do-yun in the garden again. He was looking up at the stars, holding his glass of whiskey. "Do you miss Earth?" she asked. "Sometimes. But I chose to be here. I do not regret it. Even though everything here is so different," he smiled. Hana felt warmth spread through her chest. She moved closer to him. "Do-yun, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are humans stronger than you have shown us?" He was quiet for a moment. "Yes. Why hide it?" "Because strength can frighten people. We wanted you to know us as friends first, not as threats." "I do not fear you," Hana said. Do-yun turned to look at her. "I am glad. I would never want you to fear me." He reached out and took her hand. His grip was gentle, but Hana could feel the strength in his fingers. Strength held in check. Power used with care. She squeezed his hand back and decided that perhaps the human's deception had been merciful after all. Some truths were easier to learn slowly. The Festival of 3 Suns came with great celebration. The entire capital city decorated their buildings with lights and banners. Music filled the streets. Vendors sold traditional foods in market squares. It was the most important holiday in Valran culture, marking the day when their ancestors first reached for the stars. Queen Hana was required to attend the ceremony at the Grand Pavilion. She would light the ceremonial flame and give a speech about unity and progress. Thousands would gather to watch. It was tradition, and tradition was important to the Valran people. Do-yun helped her prepare in their chambers. He adjusted the ceremonial robes that kept slipping from her shoulders. "You look beautiful," he said. "I look nervous," Hana replied. "I have given this speech 3 times before, yet it never gets easier. You will be perfect. You always are." She smiled at him. Over the past months, genuine affection had grown between them. What started as a political arrangement had become something real. She found herself looking forward to his company, valuing his opinion, missing him when duties kept them apart. "Will you stand with me on the platform?" she asked. "Of course. I am your husband. I will always stand with you." They left the palace in a formal procession. Guards surrounded them, though the threat level was considered low. The Valran people loved their queen. She was fair and wise, and had led them through difficult times. There was no reason to expect danger. The Grand Pavilion rose high above the city center. Its design was ancient, built by the first settlers of this world. Thousands of Valran citizens packed the plaza below. They cheered when Hana appeared on the main platform. She waved to them, her silver skin catching the light of the three suns. Doyun stood slightly behind her, and to the left, as protocol dictated. High Chancellor Boyoung was on her right. The royal guard formed a perimeter around the platform. Everything seemed normal. Hana began her speech. She spoke of tradition and progress, of the Valran people's achievements and their hopes for the future. She mentioned the alliance with humanity and how friendship between stars could create a better galaxy. The crowd listened with respect. Then everything went wrong. A figure in the crowd raised a weapon. Then another. Then 4 more. 6 in total. Spread throughout the plaza. They wore the robes of common citizens, but underneath they carried military-grade plasma rifles. The first shot missed Hana by inches. It struck the podium and melted the metal. The second shot hit a guard, who collapsed with a scream. Chaos erupted. People in the crowd screamed and tried to run. The guards on the platform drew their weapons, but they were positioned wrong, focused outward instead of on the threats within the crowd. Boyoung grabbed Hana's arm. "Your Majesty, down!" But Hana stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Another plasma bolt streaked toward her. This one would not miss. It came straight at her head. Doyun moved. Later, when people tried to describe what they saw, they struggled to find words. One moment, the human stood still. The next, he was in front of Hana, moving faster than their eyes could track. His hand came up and batted the plasma bolt aside. It deflected into the pavilion wall, where it burned a black mark. The plaza fell silent except for the screams. Everyone stared. Doyun's expression had changed. The gentle, smiling man was gone. What remained was something harder, something focused. He looked at the assassins like a predator, identifying prey. "Stay behind me," he said to Hana. His voice was calm, but it carried an edge she had never heard before. 2 assassins fired at him simultaneously. The plasma bolts hit him square in the chest. The Valran guards gasped, certain they had just seen the human die. Plasma weapons could vaporize flesh and bone. The smoke cleared. Doyun stood unharmed. His clothes were burned and smoking, but his skin showed no damage. He looked down at the holes in his shirt and sighed. "I liked this shirt." Then he moved again. He jumped from the platform, a distance of 20 feet. He landed in the crowd like a missile, and the impact cracked the stone pavement beneath him. People scrambled away. The nearest assassin tried to shoot him, but Doyun was already there. He grabbed the rifle and crushed it with his bare hand. The metal crumpled like paper. The assassin stared in horror. Doyun grabbed him by his robes and threw him. The Valran flew through the air and crashed into a decorative fountain 30 feet away. He did not get up. Under, not come. The other 5 assassins realized their mistake too late. They tried to retreat, to lose themselves in the panicking crowd. Doyun did not let them. He crossed the distance to the second assassin in 3 strides. Each stride covered more ground than should have been possible. He disarmed the attacker with a simple motion, then struck him once in the chest. The assassin collapsed, unconscious before he hit the ground. The third assassin was smarter. He dropped his weapon and ran. Doyun caught him in seconds, moving through the crowd like water flowing around stones. He grabbed the back of the assassin's robes and lifted him off his feet with one hand. "No," Doyun said simply, and threw the assassin back toward the plaza center, where guards could collect him. The 4th and 5th assassins tried to fight together. They abandoned their plasma rifles and drew combat knives, weapons designed to cut through armor. They attacked in coordination, years of training evident in their movements. It did not matter. Doyun dodged the first knife thrust without seeming to try. He caught the second assassin's wrist and twisted gently. The knife fell from nerveless fingers. He pushed both attackers backward, and they stumbled over each other. The last assassin, seeing his companions defeated, made a desperate choice. He aimed his plasma rifle at the crowd. "Stay back, or I kill them all." Doyun stopped. For a moment, he seemed to consider the situation. Then he moved faster than anyone watching could see. He crossed the space between them in less than a second. His hand closed around the rifle barrel. He yanked it from the assassin's grip and bent the weapon into a U shape. The assassin fell to his knees. "What are you?" "Human," Doyun said. He looked around at the stunned crowd, then up at the platform where Hana stood with her hand over her mouth. "Someone should call more guards. These people need to be arrested." The entire event had taken less than 30 seconds. 6 trained assassins with military weapons had been defeated by one unarmed man, and he was not even breathing hard. Guards rushed down from the platform, finally shaking off their shock. They surrounded the defeated assassins, binding them with restraints. Medics came to help the guard, who had been shot in the initial attack. The crowd remained silent, staring at Doyun. He walked back to the platform. The Valran citizens parted before him like he was made of fire. He climbed the stairs and approached Hana. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She could not speak. She just shook her head. "Good." He smiled. That same gentle smile he always wore. "I apologize for interrupting your speech. Should we continue the ceremony?" Hana finally found her voice. "What? How did you—" "We should get you to safety first," Doyun said. Bo-young stepped forward. "Human. What are you?" Doyun looked at the Chancellor. "I am Doyun, Hana's husband. And I would very much like to get her somewhere safe now." The guards formed around them. This time, they pointed their weapons outward, protecting the queen and her human consort. As they escorted the royal couple back to the palace, Hana looked at Doyun's face. She saw the concern there, the genuine worry for her safety, but she also saw something else now. She saw the strength he had been hiding, the power he kept leashed, and she realized that she had married someone far more extraordinary than anyone had imagined. When they reached the safety of the palace, Hana turned to face him. "Yes, Doyun agreed. I suppose we do." The royal council chamber felt smaller with tension filling it. Hana sat at the head of the long table. Around her sat the high council members, their faces showing confusion, fear, and awe. Ambassador Minji stood near the doorway, having been summoned urgently from the human embassy. And Doyun sat quietly beside Hana, looking uncomfortable with all the attention. Bo-young spoke first. "Explain. All of it. What are humans really?" Doyun looked at his sister. Minji nodded. He took a deep breath. "We are exactly what we said we are. Humans from Earth. We did not lie about that. But you hid the truth about your capabilities," Hana said quietly. "Yes, we did." Doyun met her eyes. "Earth is what the galactic community calls a death world. Our planet is harsh by most standards. High gravity, dangerous weather, aggressive predators. Humans evolved to survive in those conditions." One of the council members, a scientist named Jiwon, leaned forward. "How high is your gravity?" "About 2.8 times what you experience here on the Valran homeworld." The council members looked at each other. Jiwon did quick calculations on her data pad. "That means every movement you make here requires almost no effort. You are constantly operating at less than half your normal capacity." "Less than a third, actually," Minji said. "And it is not just gravity. Earth's atmosphere has higher oxygen content. Our day-night cycle is longer. Our temperature ranges are more extreme. Everything about our world pushed humans to become more resilient." Another council member spoke up. "The plasma weapons. We saw them hit you directly. That should have killed you instantly." Doyun pulled back his burned shirt collar, revealing the skin underneath. There was not even a mark. Human skin is tougher than most species. Our bones are denser, our muscles are stronger, we heal faster. These are just evolutionary advantages. Just... Boyoung's voice rose. You threw a full-grown Valran 30 feet through the air. You bent a military rifle with your hands. You moved faster than our eyes could follow. I was being careful, Doyun said quietly. I did not want to hurt anyone permanently. The room fell silent at that admission. Hana felt a chill run through her. How strong are you really? Doyun hesitated. May I show you? It might be easier than explaining. Greater. Remonder. Hana nodded. Please. They moved to the palace training grounds. Word had spread through the court, and despite Boyoung's attempts to keep things private, a crowd gathered. The royal guard, palace staff, and curious nobles all wanted to see the truth about the human. In the center of the training yard sat a large stone block. It was used for testing the strength of mechanical lifters. The block weighed approximately 10 tons. It took 4 motorized carts to move it. Doyun walked up to the block. He placed his hands underneath it, bent his knees, and lifted. The stone rose off the ground smoothly. He held it above his head for a moment, then set it down gently. The crowd gasped. Jiwan immediately started taking measurements. Impossible. The energy required. His body should not be able to generate that force. Arg. Energy. But I did, Doyun said. Would you like to see more? For the next hour, he demonstrated. He ran the length of the training field in seconds, moving so fast he blurred. He jumped vertically, more than 20 feet from a standing position. He struck a combat dummy designed to withstand weapons fire, and his fist went through it like it was made of cloth. At one point, a guard nervously offered him a plasma rifle. Can you really withstand this? Doyun looked at Hana. Only if you want me to. I will not lie to you anymore. Show me, Hana said. The guard set the weapon to its lowest setting and fired at Doyun's arm. The plasma bolt hit him squarely. When the smoke cleared, his skin was red but unbroken. That stings a bit, he admitted. Higher settings would actually hurt. High enough. And yes, they could kill me. Humans are tough, not invincible. Minji stepped forward to address the council. This is why we were cautious about revealing the truth. Throughout galactic history, strong species often become conquerors. They use force to take what they want. We did not want you to think we were threats. But you are threats, Boyoung said. You could conquer half the galaxy with this kind of power. We could, Minji agreed. But we do not want to. Humanity learned a hard lesson on our own world. Strength without wisdom leads to destruction. We nearly destroyed ourselves in wars before we learned to cooperate. We do not want to repeat those mistakes among the stars. Hana walked closer to Doyun. The crowd fell silent, watching their queen approach the human who had just demonstrated godlike power. She reached out and touched his arm, the same arm that had been shot with plasma. Why did you marry me? She asked. Your people do not need us. You are stronger than any army we could field. You could take what you want. Doyun covered her hand with his own. Because I wanted to. Because when I met you, I saw someone intelligent and kind. Someone who cared about her people more than herself. Someone worth knowing. The alliance was my government's idea, but marrying you was my choice. You could have anyone. Why choose someone so fragile? You are not fragile. You are strong in ways I will never be. You lead an empire. You make decisions that affect billions. You carry responsibility that would crush most people. That is real strength. He smiled gently. Also, I think you are beautiful. That helps. Despite everything, Hana felt herself smile. Around them, the crowd seemed to relax slightly. If their queen could smile, Perhaps things were not so terrible. Ji-won approached with her data pad. I have been analyzing the demonstration. Do-yun, based on what you showed us, how many humans would it take to disable our planetary defense fleet? Do-yun thought about it. If they were Marines in combat armor? Maybe 50. If they were just regular soldiers? A few hundred. Unressen. The council members looked ill. The Valran defense fleet contained thousands of ships and personnel. The idea that a few hundred humans could overwhelm them was terrifying. But we will not, Minji said firmly. That is not why we came here. We came for friendship, for trade, for knowledge exchange. We came because the galaxy is huge and lonely, and finding friends is better than making enemies. Bo-young crossed his arms. How do we know you speak the truth? You have lied by omission already. That is fair. Minji acknowledged. You have no reason to trust us completely. But consider this. We have been here for months. In that time, we have asked for nothing except friendship. We have shared technology. We have opened trade routes. We have married into your royal house. If we wanted to conquer you, we could have done so on the first day. Hana thought about the past months, Do-yun's gentleness, his patience, the way he always asked permission, always respected boundaries. He had been careful with her because he knew she was fragile in comparison. Every touch, every gesture, had been calculated to avoid accidentally hurting her. You have been holding back constantly, she said to him. Around me. Around everyone. Yes, I am used to it. All humans learn to be careful around more delicate species. It becomes second nature. Does it not frustrate you, always limiting yourself? Sometimes. But you are worth the caution. He squeezed her hand gently. You have always been worth it. Hana turned to face her council. I believe them. Humans could have taken what they wanted. Instead, they offered friendship. They sent Do-yun to live among us, to be vulnerable to our judgment. That takes courage and faith. Your Majesty, Bo-young began, but she cut him off. I have made my decision. The alliance stands. Humanity has proven themselves today, not as conquerors, but as protectors. My husband defended me and my people. When assassins attacked, he could have let me die and claimed rule for himself. Instead, he protected me. That tells me everything I need to know about human character. The council bowed to her wisdom. They were still afraid, still uncertain, but they trusted their queen. That night, alone in their chambers, Hana sat beside Do-yun on their balcony. I need time to fully understand this. What you are, what your people are. I know. Take all the time you need, but I want you to know something. I am glad you are here. I am glad I married you. Even knowing the truth, I do not regret my choice. Do-yun smiled. And this time, Hana saw it differently. She saw the strength behind the gentleness, the power held in check by choice, and she realized that true strength was not about what someone could do, but about what they chose not to do. Neither do I, Do-yun said. Neither do I. 3 weeks after the assassination attempt, normalcy almost returned to the palace. The conspirators had been arrested and confessed. They were extremists who believed any alliance with outsiders weakened the Valran Empire. Lord Teo, their leader, now sat in a prison cell awaiting trial. Hana had begun to relax again. The council had accepted the truth about humans. Trade agreements were being finalized. Ambassador Minji reported that more human diplomatic ships would arrive soon. Everything seemed to be progressing smoothly. Then the warning came. Hana was reviewing agriculture reports when Bo-young burst into her office without knocking. His face was pale. Your Majesty, we have an emergency. The defense fleet reports unknown ships entering our space. Pirates? No, much worse. They are broadcasting Kreth identification codes. The datapad fell from Hana's hands. The Kreth Dominion. Every species in this region of space feared them. They were warriors who had built an empire on conquest. Dozens of civilizations had fallen to Kreth fleets. They were ruthless, powerful, and numerous. "How many ships?" she asked, though she dreaded the answer. "Preliminary scans show at least 300 warships. Battle carriers, destroyers, landing craft. This is a full invasion force." Hana's mind raced. The Valran defense fleet numbered maybe 80 ships, and they were built for patrol duty, not warfare. "Mobilize everything we have, contact our allies, send emergency transmissions to Your Majesty." Bo Young's voice was gentle. "Our allies are too far away. By the time they arrive, it will be over. The Kreth will be here in 6 hours." The war room filled quickly. Military commanders spread star charts across the central table. Everyone spoke at once, suggesting strategies, calculating odds. Every calculation ended the same way. The Valran could not win this fight. Doyun stood quietly in the corner, listening. Finally, he spoke. "Contact Earth Command. Now." Everyone turned to look at him. Minji pulled out a communication device. "I will try, but even quantum communication takes time to—" "Do it," Hana ordered. "It is our only chance." Minji activated the device. The conversation was brief. When she finished, her expression was grim. "A human fleet is 3 days away. They cannot reach us in time." What about individual ships?" Doyun asked. "We have one diplomatic vessel in orbit. It has defensive weapons, but nothing that could stand against a Kreth fleet. Crew? 20 humans, mixed civilian and military." Doyun nodded slowly. While Minji arranged the communication, Hana pulled Doyun aside. 20 humans cannot stop 300 Kreth warships. "No. But we can buy time. We can make them regret attacking." He touched her face gently. "Hana, I need to tell you something in case I do not come back. I love you. These months with you have been the happiest of my life." Her eyes widened. "Come back? You are going out there?" "I am a combat engineer. I served in the Colonial Marines before joining the Diplomatic Corps. If there is a fight, I belong in it. You could die, maybe. But I would rather die defending you than live knowing I hid while you were in danger." He kissed her forehead. "Trust me. Humans are very good at this." The Kreth fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 300 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They immediately began broadcasting their demands. "Surrender completely or be destroyed." Standard, Kreth. Diplomacy. The Valran defense fleet moved to intercept. They were outnumbered 4-1, but they were defending their homeworld. They would not surrender without fighting. The first battle was brutal and quick. Kreth warships cut through Valran defenses like a hot knife through ice. The Valran ships were fast and maneuverable, but Kreth weapons were devastating. Within an hour, half the Valran fleet was destroyed or disabled. The survivors retreated toward the planet, hoping to make a final stand in orbit. On the ground, Hana watched the battle through long-range sensors. Each lost ship meant hundreds of Valran lives gone. She felt helpless. All her intelligence, all her political skill meant nothing against an enemy that only understood force. Then something strange happened. The human diplomatic ship, laughably small compared to the Kreth warships, accelerated into the battle. A single voice transmitted across all frequencies. It was Doyun. "Kreth fleet, this is Lieutenant Commander Doyun of the Earth Colonial Marines. You are attacking an ally of humanity. Withdraw immediately, or face consequences." There was a moment of silence. Then the Kreth commander responded with laughter. "Little human, your ship is a toy. We will swat you like an insect, then take your planet too. Last warning. Doyun said calmly. The Kreeth response was to fire every weapon they had at the human ship. Plasma bolts, missiles, and energy beams converged on the small vessel. It should have been vaporized instantly. Instead, the human ship dodged. It moved with impossible precision, weaving through the weapon's fire like it was dancing. Then, it returned fire. The weapons it carried were small, designed for defense against pirates, not military fleets. But the accuracy was perfect. Every shot hit critical systems: engines, weapons arrays, sensor pods. The human ship disabled 3 Kreeth warships in 30 seconds. The Kreeth fleet adjusted their tactics. They tried to surround the human ship, to overwhelm it with numbers. But the humans were faster. The ship darted between larger vessels, using them as cover, striking and retreating before the Kreeth could respond. On the bridge of the human ship, Doyun coordinated with his crew. All 20 humans worked with practiced efficiency. They had trained for years for combat situations. Each one knew their role perfectly. Target their command carrier, Doyun ordered. If we cut off their communications, the fleet will fall into disarray. The human ship accelerated to ramming speed. The Kreeth commander realized the danger too late. He tried to turn his massive carrier, but it was too slow. The human ship did not ram the carrier. Instead, at the last moment, it fired every weapon it had into the carrier's bridge section. The command carrier's bridge exploded. The Kreeth commander died instantly. Without leadership, the Kreeth fleet hesitated. Ships stopped coordinating. Some continued fighting, others tried to retreat, and a few attempted to take command themselves. The human ship exploited the confusion ruthlessly. It targeted communications arrays, ensuring the Kreeth could not reorganize. It disabled engines, so ships could not chase or flee. It was not trying to destroy the fleet. It was trying to cripple it. But there were still 300 warships. Even disabled, they were dangerous. The human ship took damage. Hull breaches, weapon failures, shield collapse. One lucky Kreeth shot hit the engine section. The human ship went dead in space. On the planet, Hana gasped. The sensors showed the human ship floating helplessly. Dozens of Kreeth warships moved to surround it. Then the human crew did something unexpected. They abandoned their ship. 20 figures in spacesuits jetted away from the vessel moments before it exploded in a blinding flash. The explosion was far larger than it should have been. Doyun had overloaded the ship's power core, turning it into a massive bomb. The blast disabled or destroyed 15 nearby Kreeth warships. The 20 humans in spacesuits activated individual thrusters. They scattered in different directions, making themselves difficult targets. Kreeth ships tried to shoot them. But humans in powered armor were small, fast, and extremely hard to hit. 3 Kreeth landing craft broke off from the main fleet. They headed for the planet's surface. If they could not win in space, they would win on the ground. Each craft carried 500 Kreeth soldiers. 1,500 elite warriors against a planet of fragile scientists and scholars. The landing craft entered the atmosphere. Valren ground defenses fired everything they had, but the Kreeth ships' shields held. They landed in the plains outside the capital city and deployed their soldiers. Kreeth warriors were impressive. They stood 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor plating. They carried weapons designed to punch through reinforced walls. They had conquered worlds with similar forces 100 times before. They marched toward the capital, expecting easy victory. Then, they met Doyun. He had made it to the surface in his spacesuit, landing in the plains between the Kreeth and the city. He stood alone on a hill, clearly visible against the setting suns. The Kreeth commander ordered his forces to kill the single human. 50 warriors charged up the hill, roaring their battle cries. Doyun did not run. He did not hide. He charged down the hill to meet them. What followed was a lesson in human warfare. Doyun moved through the Kreeth warriors like a storm. He was faster than them, stronger than them, and far more experienced. He used their own momentum against them. He struck weak points in their armor. He moved constantly, never staying still long enough to be targeted. Within 2 minutes, 50 Kreeth warriors lay unconscious or disabled. Do-yun stood among them, barely winded. The Kreeth commander stared in disbelief. He ordered the rest of his forces forward. 1,500 warriors against 1 human. But Do-yun was not alone anymore. The other 19 humans from the ship had made it to the surface. They formed up around him, 20 humans against 1,500 Kreeth. The odds should have been impossible. The battle lasted 3 hours. The humans used tactics the Kreeth had never seen before. They hit and ran. They used traps. They turned the Kreeth's size and strength against them. They moved through the battlefield like ghosts, appearing to strike and disappearing before retaliation could come. Hana watched from the palace walls through digital telescopes. She saw Do-yun lift a Kreeth warrior over his head and throw him into 3 others. She saw a human woman named Unji collapse a Kreeth formation by destroying the ground beneath them. She saw tactics so creative, so unpredictable, that the Kreeth could not counter them. By the time the human fleet arrived 3 days later, the battle was over. The Kreeth invasion force was destroyed or captured. Their ships floated in orbit, disabled and powerless. Their ground forces were tied up and guarded by exhausted but victorious humans. 20 humans had defeated 1,500 Kreeth warriors and crippled 300 warships. When the human fleet entered the system, the remaining Kreeth forces that had not engaged immediately surrendered. They had never encountered an enemy like this. They wanted no part of humanity's full military might, if this is what 20 humans could do. Do-yun returned to the palace covered in dust and blood, none of it his own. Hana ran to him and threw herself into his arms, not caring about protocol or dignity. She held him and cried. "I thought I lost you," she whispered. "You will not lose me that easily," he said. "I promise to always stand with you. I keep my promises." That night, the human fleet commander, Admiral Junho, met with Hana and her council. "Your Majesty, I apologize for the delay in our arrival. By the time we received word and mobilized, your husband and his crew had already won the battle for you." "They saved us," Hana said simply. "They did what humans do best. They improvised, adapted, and overcame impossible odds." Junho smiled. "We are good at that," Bo-young spoke up. "Admiral, we need to discuss terms. Your people have proven their military superiority. What do you want from us?" "I. 4. Your people Zevroban." Junho looked confused. "Want from you? Nothing more than what we already agreed to. Trade, friendship, knowledge exchange, but you could demand anything. You could occupy our worlds. Why would we do that? We came here for allies, not subjects." Junho glanced at Do-yun. "My lieutenant commander married your queen because he genuinely cared for her. That is the foundation of our alliance. Mutual respect and care, not fear and domination." Hana stood and addressed the council. "I told you before that humanity could be trusted. Today they proved it beyond any doubt. They risked their lives to defend us when they could have simply watched us fall. That is the definition of true friendship." She turned to Do-yun. "You asked me once why I chose to marry you. I think I understand now. Strength is not just about what you can do. It is about what you choose to do. You chose kindness. You chose patience. You chose to defend those weaker than yourself. That is real power." Do-yun smiled. "I choose you, Hana. Every day, I choose you." The Valran Empire and humanity forged a partnership that day that would last for centuries. It was built not on fear or subjugation, but on mutual respect. The Valran offered their technology and knowledge. Humans offered their protection and strength. Together, they built something greater than either could achieve alone. and at the center of it all was a marriage between a queen and a human.